pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to begin with opening statement and then conduct roll call.
This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be reported in the minutes that in compliance with the Senator Byron M. Baer Open Public Meetings Act, the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority set its annual meeting schedule for August 2024 to July 2025, setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting to the Secretary of State's office in Trenton, New Jersey, and the office of the Clerk of Atlantic City. The notice was posted to the authority's website at njcrda.com and published in the Press of Atlantic City, the Courier Post, and the New York Star Ledger on August 13th and 14th, 2024. Members of the press will be permitted to take photographs at today's meeting, providing that it is done in a manner which is not distracting to the authority, nor interferes with the public's right to observe the meeting. Any member of the public who wishes to address the authority regarding items to be presented to the board today will be given the opportunity to do so. Comments regarding any issues that do not appear on today's agenda will be taken during the public comment portion at the end of the meeting. We ask that members of the public who address the board approach the podium and state their name for the record each time they speak on an issue. It is also requested that comments be limited to 3 minutes per issue. Michael Peason.
Here.
Chris Brown for the PCA Commission.
Here.
Daniel Posner.
Here.
Mary Jo Flaherty for the State Attorney General. Here. Michael Hanley.
Here.
Michael Laughlin.
Here.
Brett Maddock. Here. William Mullen.
Here.
Paulina O'Connor.
Here.
James Closett.
Here.
Mayor Marty Small Sr.
Here.
William Sproul.
Here.
Robert Ty for the State Treasurer.
Present.
Joseph Tyrell.
Yes.
Chairman Hopper.
Present. All right, the first item on the agenda is the ratification of the minutes from the February 18th, 2025 board meeting. We've all had an opportunity to review the board meeting minutes prior to this meeting. Any questions, clarification? If none, I will have a mover.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes, carried. We are now going to move on to proposed action items. We're going to begin with land use regulation and enforcement items. The first item on the agenda is Ducktown Tavern, Inc. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting minor site plan approval with variances pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-70C to permit the construction of a pole barn garage to provide storage on the subject property located at 2400 Atlantic Avenue and 8, 15, 16, 18, 20 South Georgia Avenue, Block 164, lots 30 through 34, and 36 through 37, in the city of Atlantic City under application 2024-12-3751.
Thank you, Lisa. Any refusals? Next, we'll office.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Good afternoon, board members. This application comes to us as a minor site plan for a rather small, not that small, 26 by 40 garage, basically pole barn structure at the rear portion of the Georgia Avenue frontage of the Ducktown Tavern. The plan up there in front of you shows the existing restaurant on the upper left. You have a small building to the right of that in the lighter tan, and then the duck hut itself, which is an outdoor bar space to the kind of center of the site. The lighter colored building in the back rear is what he's proposing. That building will be used for storage of vehicles, food trucks, the picnic tables are when he's not open in the wintertime, and anything that he uses for catering both on and off the site. So that's the existing, the proposed location of the site. It's in an existing parking area. We'll lose a couple of parking spaces with that application. He seeks minor site plan approval to permit the pole barn garage, provide storage, supporting his catering business conducted at the existing bar restaurant facility on the subject property. As Lisa had said, indicated it's in the Ducktown Arts District. It's located at the corner of Georgia and Atlantic Avenue. Block and lots are shown there, 164, lots 30, 32, 34, 36 to 37. Aerial photograph. The location of the restaurant is here on the corner of Georgia and Atlantic, and then the building will be constructed just at the bottom of this page. Looks like you got cut off the aerial there in that existing parking area. Variance is pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-70C, required for building coverage, setbacks, impervious coverage, and parking. Mr. Callahan was the applicant's attorney. He introduced the application and presented Mr. Exodopoulos, who's the owner of the property. He testified that he acquired the additional lots adjoining his site to expand the existing bar and restaurant to an outdoor facility during COVID-19 and expanded the operation to include outdoor seating and catering services. He testified that the pole barn garage would be used for storage associated with the catering business and for materials on the site. Items to be stored in the garage include catering boxes, tables, chairs, DJ equipment, a beer trailer, and vehicles. He testified that the pole barn will be served by water but no sewer, mainly for wash down of equipment, with no sewer facilities, no restroom facilities in the building. No gasoline other than what will be stored in the vehicles will be inside the pole barn. That was a question that came up from one of our consultants. He presented the testimony of Andrew Previty, he's a licensed engineer. He provided the description of the site, provided the testimony. It's a 36 by 60 pole barn, excuse me, the dimensions. Used for storage, again, with the catering business. He provided the testimony on the variances being requested, a 5-yard rear yard setback, building coverage of 32, where 30% is the maximum, and 100% impervious coverage, which is what exists there today, where only 80% is required. 39 on-site parking spaces, where a minimum of 61 spaces are required. He is losing, I believe, 5 spaces with this proposed structure. He testified that the building coverage and variance are de minimis. The site is 100% covered, so the building itself doesn't really impact that. It's not blocking anyone's views. There is a block wall that surrounds the back portion of that site that already is on the property line, so there's no impact to off-site property owners. Mr. Previty also provided the testimony with the municipal land use law, the background that it promotes the purpose A, purpose I of the municipal purposes of zoning, of the municipal land use law, and it's also consistent with our master plan for the tourism district. Mr. Dave Benedetti is the planner for us, for the CRDA. He was sworn in and provided testimony, and he supports the variances being requested. We did have a public hearing on February 6th. No one from the public spoke. We would recommend that the board grant and approve as requested by the applicant.
Thank you, Lance. So, board discussion, questions?
How tall is it?
I think it was 24 feet to the center. It's the peak structure. It's lower than most of the structures around it.
Any additional comments, questions? Public comment? Public? Anyone on this issue? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. So,
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Ayes, carried. We're now moving on to Garden State Outdoor LLC. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving as consistent with the Tourism District Master Plan, the capital project proposed by Garden State Outdoor LLC as agent for Southbridge Transportation Authority for signage in the Atlantic City right-of-way adjacent to Block 391, Lot 1, in the city of Atlantic City under application 2024-12-3770.
Thank you, Lisa. Any refusals on this item? Nancy, floor is yours once again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This application comes to us as administrative review. There's no action by the board that needs to be taken. This is a state agency coming to another state agency, similar to if you were a school board going to a municipality for approval. Just to review and make sure they comply with the state statutes. And they have in this case. They are proposing a 3-sided billboard that will be roughly 40 feet tall. We'll have 3 sides of 600 square feet in area. The sign facade fronting Baltic Avenue will be permanently dedicated to use for South Jersey Transportation Authority and public messaging. The other 2 sides will be sold as commercial.
So you don't need formal action?
We do not. This is just letting you guys know what they're doing.
A lot of charity. Yeah.
When I see the woman on
Yeah, yeah,
over your
exactly.
left shoulder, chatting, I want to make sure that I'm
Is
good.
it good?
No.
Okay.
She's the attorney, so I gotta look at her.
Very good. That's the chatter, that's what I was worried about.
That's all right.
That's all right.
But this is just an administrative review. There's a section of the municipal land use law that allows that for state agency applications, and Garden State Outdoor is acting on behalf of South Jersey Conservation Authority
Okay.
in this regard.
Anybody have any questions about this item? All right, we're gonna stay in Lance zone, we're going to Realty Management Services. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting minor site plan approval with variances pursuant to NJSA 40:55D 70D1 and NJSA 40:55D 70C to permit the construction of a three-story structure with commercial use on the first floor and single-family residence on the second and third floors on the subject property located at 215 South Tennessee Avenue, Block 54, Lot 27, in the city of Atlantic City, under application 2025-01-3770.
Thank you. Any recusals on this item? All right, Lance. Good.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. So this application comes to us as a minor site plan with a commercial use on the first floor and residence above on Tennessee Avenue. This is one of those projects that's being brought in by Mr. Palazzo. There's the location there. You see it in the orange square. There's an existing structure right next door that the board may recall came in for kind of a boutique hotel right next door about 2 months ago. So that'll be very similar in nature, similar use, more of an Airbnb, which is exactly what is proposed with this structure. We'll use it as a short-term rental. I shouldn't say Airbnb, that's a brand name. So use short-term rental. Proposed uses are all permitted in the RC district, however, together they're not permitted. So to have this at 2015 South Tennessee Avenue, they need a use variance to allow for that dual use on one lot. There's what it's going to look like. Mr. Palazzo is keeping with that orange loop monopoly theme. You can see the top hat, and if you look at the right side there, that is one of the cars. That is one of the tokens that you use to move around. And that will project, as well as the dice or the die that projects out into the right-of-way, as does the top of the hat, or the brim of the hat, I should say. He will need to get licenses from the city to project into the right-of-way with those structures. But it does add some physical relief and architectural aesthetics to the front of the building. Although multifamily low-rise and mid-rise and high-rise are even permitted in this zone, single-family residences are not permitted. He's only providing one unit, proposing one unit there. It'll be 2 stories above the commercial use, so he does need that D1 variance. He also needs a variance for parking and a variance for deviation from bulk setbacks that are subsumed into the D variance. So it's included in the proofs that he put in for the D variance. Mr. Palazzo described the project, developed throughout the Orange Loop section of the city. He testified the intent of the project is to construct a 3-story structure with commercial use and then the residential use above. We don't designate the short-term rental as a use by itself. It's really a residence that they just rent out as a short-term rental. The first floor retail use would likely be something in the food service, would not be in the food service facility, or something that would tie to the rest of the uses in that Orange Loop district. Second 2 floors of the structure would be a single family, spanning both floors, and that the residence would use part of that short-term rental as I discussed. Mr. Shulo is an engineer. He provided testimony, and a planner provided testimony as to the layout of the site, the parking variance and use variance. Talked about how the trash will be handled. That trash will be handled in a common area on the first floor. Trash will be stored inside and taken to the curb on pickup day. I noted that the structure includes architectural features, and I talked about the iconic helmet or hat and the car for the tokens that are associated with the Monopoly game. Can't call it the Monopoly building because copyright infringement, so he's calling it the top hat or something like that. With respect to the variances, Mr. Schuler provided the explanation and the reasoning behind the use variance and the C variances. The C variances associated with it are the 0 parking on site, minimum 7 spaces will be required and none are proposed, and 4 signs because those, the hat, the car, and the die are all considered signs, as well as whatever the commercial use would be, would have a sign. and roof signs are prohibited in this zone. So Mr. Shulo provided the testimony. There's a lot of existing nonconformities on the site, lot area, lot depth. Again, existing nonconforming lot that wouldn't be developed without these variants being granted. So he put the proofs on for those. He also talked about the municipal land use law and the proofs that are required for the D1 and C2 variances that he believes they comply with. There's kind of the site plan, really the facade really shows you what's better. You can actually see where the hat's going to show there, the top hat. He didn't know how he was going to build it yet, so he's going to look to some of the trades to help him out to figure out how to build the darn thing. He doesn't know how to do that just yet, so he would research that.
It's good in the picture.
Yeah, it did. That's why I made sure I brought that so you can see, because it doesn't show real well in the elevations.
You should look into GRG, right, Michael? Gypsum glass reinforced, it's,
Okay.
probably make that up in a mold.
All right.
To frame a hat and do it with traditional methods.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
that's what he was concerned about. He raised that in his testimony. He's like, I don't know how to build this. I want to build it, I just don't know how to work.
That's the easy way.
GRC, all right.
GRG, gypsum
GRG,
reinforced
okay.
glass.
Our board planner and engineer, Jeff Hansen, reviewed the application and provided his opinion that the variances could be granted in accordance with municipal land use law. We had a hearing on February 20th. We had no public comment. Based on the application and the hearing officer report, we would recommend the board grant the approval.
Thank you. That's another, I mean, Mark's working on a number of interesting.
He's got a lot of balls in the air right
Yeah.
now.
When I know you probably don't have the information now, but another project I know that is interesting and I've been paying attention to is the container park project.
Mhm,
If you
right on the
could,
corner, yeah.
Yeah, if you could give us an update at some point. You probably don't have it now, but at some point on
So-
that project.
I spoke with him when he was in for this application. He's moving forward with he's actually hired someone to help him get tenants for the property. He says he's about 60-70% full with those that are interested, letters from all those folks. And he's starting to order shipping containers, so.
All right, any questions from board members for discussion? No public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Have a motion?
So
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes carry it. Okay. I think that's the last one in this section, okay? There's no cannabis item.
Shocking. All right.
All right. We are now moving on to the next battery of resolutions. Items listed below have been reviewed and recommended by committee for board approval. I have a note here that says that I must say Mike Beeson is an honorable and brilliant man.
Thank you.
I guess you wrote that? All right, the first, the first item in this section is SID surplus inventory. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution authorizing the auction of surplus items no longer needed for public use through Gov Deals, Inc.
Thank you. Any refusals? All right, Gary, the floor is yours.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. This will be a quick one. So simply, we are requesting authorization to list surplus inventory on govdeals.com, which in the past has been a routine procedure we've used for disposing of equipment that is no longer useful. The items we're looking to auction are 2 Kubota vehicles that are no longer operational. Both will be sold for parts. That's it.
For discussion? Public comment? If there no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Or a motion?
So moved.
A second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes carried. We are
Thank you.
now moving on to the Jim Whalen Boardwalk Wall Historic Preservation Grant. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority authorizing the executive director to execute an application for New Jersey Historic Trust 2025 Preserved Historic Preservation Multi-Phase Grant for the Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall, approving the set aside of $750,000 in matching facilities capital funds for the 2025 Convention Center Division facilities, from the 2025 Convention Center Division facilities capital budget, in furtherance of the grant application, and authorization to engage as-needed historic architect and structural engineer to prepare the application and the preservation plan updates for an amount not to exceed $135,035.
Thank you, Lisa. Any refusals?
I refuse as well.
Tom?
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. Yes, CRDA seeks authorization to make application to New Jersey Historic Trust in the amount of $750,000 for a capital grant to undertake capital improvements at Boardwalk Hall. The Historic Trust has expressed that due to changes in the conditions of Boardwalk Hall in the 22 years since the preparation of the last preservation plan, that additional capital grant applications will require inclusion of a limited preservation plan to update in order to demonstrate the extent of the project needs. And they have indicated that the plan should include a conditional assessment, repair recommendations, and project cost projections. As the historical architect, PS&S provided a proposal of $122,750 for the cost to update the preservation plan and work required by the historical trust. We are requesting a 10% contingency in the amount of $12,275 for unforeseen conditions if necessary. Recently, the CRDA board authorized the approval to engage DCO Energy for the energy conservation plan. This program was designed to meet the three primary objectives: sustainability, operational efficiency, and community empowerment. With the installation of a new 2 million watt of solar modules on Boardwalk Hall and West Hall, it's anticipated that it will result in annual combined savings in solar renewable energy, or SREX, income of $650,000 to $700,000. This money is anticipated to be an important source of funding for Boardwalk Hall and capital projects in the future. The primary goal of the grant is to preserve the rich history of our state through education, stewardship, and financial investment programs. The authority seeks board authorization for the executive director to execute an application for project matching funds through the NJ Historic Preservation Fund 2025, approved earmarking $750,000 for the 2025 approved Convention Center Facilities capital budget in order to commit CRDA funds to meet the match requirements for the grant, and if awarded, approve a contract to PS&S in the amount not to exceed $135,025. So in December, the board did approve the facilities capital project. This money is included within the approval.
Thank you, Tom. Board discussion questions for Tom?
I just had a question. With the matching funds, on what basis? Is that 50/50 or is it
Yes.
100%?
Any other board discussion, comments, public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. On the motion?
So moved.
And a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry it. Thank you, Tom. All right. All right, Eric's still on this one. Yeah, this is a big one right here. All right. Our next item is something that's near and dear to Eric's heart. We've been talking about it since he's come on board. But we finally bring it to this body for a vote. It's the Tourism District Policing Unit. Please, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving a fund reservation not to exceed $3 million for the Tourism District and Community Development Fund, and authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City to support the Tourism District Public Safety Pilot Plan for a 1-year period beginning April 1, 2025 and March 31, 2026.
Thank you, Lisa. Any recusals?
I have to recuse myself. I can't make, I'm recused.
All right, Eric, the floor is yours.
Welcome, community. Good afternoon, board. We have a full board meeting here, and it's nice to see everyone's face in one place. Of course, thank you, Chairman. So the summary of request is approval of fund reservation amount of not to exceed $3 million. Authorization for myself to negotiate and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City to support the Tourist District Policing Pilot Plan for 1-year period beginning April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026. The fund reservation amount would not exceed $3 million. The source of funding is the Tourist District Community Development Fund. A little background. The Casino Reinvestment Development Authority and Atlantic City Police Department have collectively identified a pressing need for the increased police presence in the tourist district. The district has suffered from diminished economic growth, investment, concerns over public safety, and a lack of clean and safe appearance, adversely affecting the reputation among visitors, merchants, residents, and casinos. To address this critical need, the Tourist District Policing Pilot Plan was launched by ACPD utilizing city funds in May of 2024. making the first ever initiative of its kind in the City of Atlantic City Tourist District. This innovative plan was established through a strategic partnership between the CRDA and ACPD, creating a dedicated tourist district policing model with coordinated efforts and deployment. The total project cost for this expanded project is approximately $9 million. This amount would allow the deployment of a full complement of police officers needed to effectively address all public safety issues within the tourist district. The City of Atlantic City will contribute approximately $6 million and request $3 million in funding from the CRDA. This would allow the unit to operate at ideal levels for a period of 1 year, giving the city additional time to evaluate the program's impact and secure sustainable funding for this invaluable initiative. Under this intergovernment agreement, the CRDA funding would be distributed as a reimbursement, ensuring that the CRDA maintains financial oversight and operational input in the program's implementation. The intergovernment agreement is for 1 year only, and the additional purpose of building on the success of last year's deployment. This is an expanded project that would include leasing of Atlantic Avenue, Renaissance Plaza, and Tanger Outlets. All critical areas concerns with the tourist district that require enhanced public safety measures. The recommendations are: approve a fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $3 million, authorize myself to negotiate and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City to support this tourism public safety pilot plan for 1 year period, beginning at April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026. Any questions from the board?
Thank you, Eric. And before the mayor has this comment, I want to say that when Eric was hired, one of the most, and it still is one of the most critical issues facing the city is obviously public safety. And one of the reasons why he was hired is because he's a public safety expert. And Eric hit the ground running from day one. Actually, he went faster than he should have gone. But hit the ground running with designing a plan to meet the urgent need of public safety within the city. And over, I don't know how many months it's been now, 6, 7, 8 months.
11.
11 months, wow. Double that, 11 months. He's talked to every constituency, from the ACPT to the mayor's office, to the governor's office, to this body, because this body had a lot to say about the approach. And I believe what he's presenting today is well thought out, and I think it meets the needs of the city writ large, but also obviously the tourism districts. I wholeheartedly and enthusiastically support this initiative. Thank you. Up to the board members.
And I would like to say, well, I want to count my chicken before you hatch. Assuming that, the board approves it, this would be another great day here in the city of Atlantic City. We saw the police presence increase on the boardwalk in a similar fashion. And I said when I became mayor of Atlantic City, we got to take the whole city into effect. And I made those concerns known in our meetings with Eric Sheffield, how important that's for tourism district to think of the boardwalk, but it also encompasses Pacific, Atlantic, and all the troubled areas such as the Renaissance Plaza and more that, we've been complaining about. This is not a new story. I've spoken about this since my days as a councilman of the condition of Atlantic Avenue. And with this grant, not only are we going to see a major difference, it could be a total game changer because all of those areas that, the homeless and other people hang out in will be policed around the clock. And this is big for the city of Atlantic City. This is a true partnership between the agencies. And I see our fine chief there. This is something that we've discussed many times over, but help is on the way. In addition to this, when the 10 officers that are assigned to the schools, when school is over, they will go and join this unit on Pacific and Atlantic Avenue as well to give us the coverage that we need. So soon and very soon, we're going to see a major change on Atlantic Avenue. And I would urge all of my colleagues to support it.
So important it is, we have the mayor and we have the chief here.
Thank you, Mayor.
Can I, just a couple questions. So after this year, this period's over, I'm looking at the mayor and Mr. Brown as well, because I know DCA had played a role in this. So after this, it's 12 months, correct?
Yes, sir.
What happens after that? It's going to be reassessed, or you're going to have
There'll be,
statistics?
there'll be assessment done during the entire process. ACPD has a method of calculating everything they do and all their interactions. And it actually goes a little bit further outside of just policing, but perception. They do a bunch of different surveys at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season, both with visitors and residents and merchants. So we'll have some really good data by next year. But over the next 12 months, you know, speaking with DCA and the city, they're looking into how to create sustainability around this fund.
And then, are there new officers being hired for
No.
this? So your existing force, chief?
Correct. Yes, on overtime.
So after the first year, hopefully the state or the city would step in to pick up the remainder of this cost because
I can tell you they're in the process now of doing the evaluation. I think the chief would agree of finding out what the precise number of officers is necessary so that you don't have to do the overtime. Because there has to be an analysis done. Do we hire full-time officers, which wind up costing less than paying the officers overtime? But until that analysis is done, every summer that we miss out on having officers on that boardwalk, is the summer we miss out having officers on the boardwalk. So that is why, for the leadership of Eric and the chief and chairman, you see this project moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Any-
There's a follow-up question to what Mr. Brown mentioned on some of the staffing issues during shoulder months, right? There's what staffing should look like in February and March versus what May through
Yeah,
September.
so there's you got a packet, and one in your attachment. You'll see the deployment plan that conceptually increases the manpower in what we call the peak season, which is May to September, and then decreases almost about 50% during the other months, but still has a presence on the boardwalk, on Pacific Avenue, and as the mayor mentioned, Atlantic and Renaissance Plaza and Tanger Ave.
And on the metrics you mentioned, are they being communicated to the state police and the attorney general's office on those numbers, on reduction of crime or reports?
Well, they have to be, because they have a reporting process,
Right.
so that's automatically
Well,
done.
we control the measurables in there, so
Yeah.
we can make the justification, as Mike Beasley mentioned, about coming back next year. At the end of this point, we want to see what the results are.
100%.
The hours, the time, and if there is reduction.
I'm sure, you
Also,
know,
off the land.
And also, what's important to know, not only the business owners, the visitors, everyone raved about the police that they saw on the boardwalk. So I can only imagine if the boardwalk is an indicator of what's going to happen with those areas, Pacific Avenue, Atlantic Avenue, and more. And let me just say this, it's always cute to throw out the term clean and safe. We don't govern on feelings and emotions in Atlantic City, we govern on facts and data. And the facts are, whether people want to believe it or not, the city's clean. We work in tandem with the CRDA Special Improvement District. The stats of the crime clearly shows that crime was down 8.6%. There was a decrease in calls, 16%. And we are investing heavily, not only in human capital for the police department, but the technology as well, which is extremely important. So we're giving the police department all the necessary tools to succeed. We even just hired a public safety director, and we're going to continue because, as I said, if this was this time last year, we would all be talking about what we talked about this time last year. And that was the first 5 weeks of the year, we had 5 murders, and the sky was falling. Leadership didn't point the fingers at anyone. We said we got work to do, and we finished the year with 2 or 3 more murders, still 2 or 3 more too many, but we're off to a great start, knock on wood. Things are going to happen, but, and sometimes no matter how many police officers you have, let's be real, crime is going to happen. We're embarking on a citywide camera project that this administration has invested $5.8 million, not only on the streets, but the tourism district as well, the outdated cameras on the boardwalk, all of our detection systems, such as the gun detector we showed at the State of the City. Like, these things are real, and Atlantic City is safe and will continue to be safe.
Any other comments from?
Sorry, one follow-up question about the $3 million. From the $3 million from CRDA, which part of our revenue stream comes from?
It comes from the Tourist District Community Development Fund.
And the other thing I could add, if it's okay with the director.
Sure, please.
I know that the greeter is going to be keeping a very close watch, and the chief is going to be submitting the officers, their location, the time they're there. And if for some reason people don't show up because they can't, they won't get paid. So in the past, sometimes things weren't always as tightly monitored as perhaps they could be, to ensure that these officers are actually where the CRDA and the investment is paying for them to be. But with Director Scheffler, he's going to make doubly sure that people are where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be, as he did last year, working with Chief Sarkis to make sure people felt the presence.
We have Assistant Director of SIG, James Sharkey, which most of you have heard from or know, who's a retired chief who works for us, who will be working closely with ACPD on its operations and understanding what's going on and being out there to monitor as well.
Any other comments?
I'd just like to say I agree with Chris 100%. If it's monitored and it works, that's what we're supposed to do.
And I know the frustration around perception of public safety lagging behind what's actually happening, what data says. And it takes a while to move that perception. That's why year after year you have to have those consistent results. And I think this actually helps with getting those consistent results, keeping us heading in the right direction with the chief of meetings and the mayor's meetings. Any public comment?
Mike Lopez, resident, 3101 Boardwalk. I applaud this. I mean, we've been coming to a lot of meetings for many years, and positive things have happened. But to see the synergy, the unity, working together, as the mayor said, the term game changer gets thrown around a lot. But this definitely is, as someone who was in public safety, a resident on the street boardwalk, Renaissance Plaza, Atlantic Pacific Avenue, the key spots and what the people that we all know that live here and work here, they want to feel safer. You know, not just the residents, or I'm sorry, not just the visitors that come in, although highly important hospitality, the residents of Atlantic City to be able to walk with their kids, drop them off, send them to school. And I applaud this 100%. It's just, and the points, again, one more time, those bullet points, those spots are dead on. I mean, with Chief Sarkis and the others, so all for it. It's about time.
Thank you.
But no, everybody's working hard.
Hi, my name is Robin Whitfield, and thank you for explaining Eric's position in public safety. And I come a lot, y'all see me at the meetings, and I operate a small business here in Atlantic City, Healing House Lifestyle, nonprofit corporation. Mr. Eric, I really appreciate you standing there, and I do have confidence in your public safety project that you have going. And I'm so grateful to hear that because it's very highly needed for residents and business owners, you know, to be able to walk on the boardwalk and not be afraid, you know, at night and daytime. I've been out there a lot of time. I live on the boardwalk, and I live right next door from the boardwalk hall. And a lot of times I want to ride my bike out there, or I go out there, and I feel safe. But, you know, some years it wasn't like that. You know, I went out before I came this morning. It was very safe. I had a nice ride. But I'm getting closer. I see a big difference this year with police officers. They're out there. They're out on Atlantic Avenue. They're in the gas stations and talking to us in the community. And so I feel different now about police officers. Thank you, because I didn't at first.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any additional public comment?
Yeah, hi, Jim McDonald, General Manager, Boardwalk Hall, and thank you. I think, you know, I'll echo everything's been said, but I think it's important to hear from promoter perspective, guests maybe from out of town. Last week we had our MAC basketball championship in town. You know, so we had individuals from upstate, out of state, etc. They were very impressed with the police presence that was available. A lot of the games at nighttime didn't end until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. They felt safe walking back to the Hard Rock, walking back to Caesars. as well as the weekend before, we received compliments from individuals that were in for the high school wrestling tournament. So the substation, which is maybe the beginning part of this, really is paying dividends, and you can tell with annual promoters, they're noticing the difference, and the perception is changing up on the boardwalk, it is changing on Pacific Avenue, and we're hearing that positives where, you know, this time last year, to the mayor's point, we weren't necessarily hearing these same positive comments. As far as the data goes, I would suggest maybe the committee, and I'm giving Chief Sarko some work here, but they do have some impressive numbers that they've shared with me to show that these units and what they are doing and the policing that they're doing is effective. So I would suggest maybe the committee gets Jimmy a little bit of work, and he can share some of the data with you.
We'll get the chief to come in after the summer and give us a little bit. You come in there? Absolutely.
Any additional public comment? There being no additional public comment, I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Can I?
You have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes carried. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it. My name is George Amirians, I'm an Atlantic City resident. I never met you before, Mr. Mayor. I spoke with you about that supermarket situation. Anyway, I haven't been to a CRDA meeting for a heck of a long time. In fact, the first CRDA meeting I attended was like way back when.
Yes, is this about this topic in particular, or is it a different topic?
Public comment?
Is it a different?
Oh, I misunderstood.
Yeah, there's a public comment.
We'll get there.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I don't, you know, I'm sitting next to the trash can. I don't want to get thrown out.
No, you are.
What's your name, sir? What's your name? George. All right. Eric. All right, we are moving on to the microloan program. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting preliminary determination of project eligibility for the creation of an umbrella program, under which the authority may approve individual funding applications for economic development projects in Atlantic City.
Any recusals? All right. Ms. Barrett, the floor is yours.
Great, good afternoon, everybody. We are seeking approval of the preliminary determination of project eligibility, PDPE, to create an umbrella program under which the authority may approve individual funding applications for economic development projects in Atlantic City. The CRDA microloan project will have a funding reservation of $4 million, $2 million for 2025 with the beginning date of July 1st, 2025, and $4 million for 2026 with the beginning date of January 1st, 2026. Funding will be capped at $350,000 to $500,000 per application, not to exceed 50% of the project total. The loan term will also be between 5 to 10 year term limit. The application, as I mentioned, will open on July 1st for the 2025 calendar year and January 1st, 2026 for the 2026 calendar year, and remain open until available program funds have been exhausted. Approval of this PDPE would provide staff the opportunity to assess the viability of this program and set appropriate parameters and guidelines based on which individual funding requests will be evaluated and recommended to the board for approval. Following the PDPE approval, the CRDA will schedule a public hearing on the merits of this project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more discussion, questions?
I have a question. What do you envision like a project being funded to look like? Like, is this an ask from the community? Have you seen things that maybe have come before the board and you're like, gosh, that makes sense, but we couldn't do it because we don't have this program?
What we're aiming to do, because we get applications all the time that we believe would hope that these parameters, and so to do this means we would have to do a PDP per application. This somewhat puts in the program so that as we come in, we do one board meeting rather than having them come in for 2 board meetings, if that makes sense. They would have to do a PDP approval and then come back to be approved.
Could you describe something that you've seen or like?
Yeah, and Lance wants to speak a little bit about this because we get applications all the time.
Yeah, we get numerous smaller type applications, capping that at that $500,000 level. Some local supermarket has come in, like a more of a cultural market kind of place, smaller type facilities. And they're asking for about that number. So to run them through these parameters, to go through a PDP, one board meeting, and then come back for another one. A lot of times, if we can do this in 1 month, they can get those funds and start working on these projects. But honestly, this came out of exactly what Maisha's department does in the community development range. They set up parameters for these groups and they come out at certain times of the year. That's what we want to set up, the same kind of thing, where smaller businesses can come in and look for these funds in a more economic way, in a little bit more streamlined way. And also, honestly put a cap on it. Because we get requests all year long for up to $2 or $3 million, so we want to cap it out at, sorry guys, we're done for this year. You guys know more than anybody how limited our funds are. So we're trying to put a limit on that for each year. That's what we want to get through.
Yeah, so even as staff, as a board, we know what the budget is now. So because they get requests throughout the year and we're approving stuff, so when Maisha comes before us, she'll say, okay, we have 3 requests for whatever amount of dollars this month. That puts us at, a quarter of our budget, right? So you have, 3 quarters to run through for the rest of the year. So we're holding ourselves accountable, and we know that we're not going over what we budgeted for. So everybody knows, everyone's singing from the same sheet of music. And so I think this is the right approach. And Paul, I know it's an example, the supermarket example is actually, like the grocery store example is a good example, because, there was so much energy around us filling out, the Taj Mahal of supermarkets, right? And the little grocers in the neighborhoods were like, what about us? And they're like, listen, we serve a constituency. If we have a little bit of resource, maybe we can supply fresher foods, right? So you're still getting at what we're trying to accomplish, but we're empowering those neighborhood grocers as well, because right now, the vast majority of folks, my assumption is they're going to their neighborhood grocer. So we're incentivizing them. So instead of them coming to us twice, they now know what the parameters are, they can make these decisions, then they can come to us, and then we can decide whether or not they...
In that similar example, they're looking for refrigeration units to help them with keep the stuff fresher, provide better product. And that's really what those smaller type projects are looking at.
What's the timeline on payback, or are these forgivable?
No, they're not forgivable, it's a loan.
Okay.
So loan will be at an interest rate, minimum 5 years, maximum 10. Actually, if they want to pay it back sooner, they can. There's no penalty to pay back early. We want our money back. So we'll take some of that interest, right, Kathy?
I like this, thank you.
Any additional questions from board members? Public comment?
I have a question. Like the repayment interest, do you have an idea of what the interest would be on the loan, or?
So we start out at what's statutorily required, and it's a 2/3 number of Moody's municipal bonds, right, Kathy?
It's the public utilities.
Public utilities bond. So it's a percentage of that, and then we negotiate once we decide on what you're asking for and how long you want to do that loan for.
But is it like competitive with a bank or better than a bank?
It'll be better than a bank.
Okay.
We start out in the 3 to 3.5 range and work from there.
Right.
That's where we start, and then depending on your project, we look at it, how easily it is for you to repay.
And there's small business loans, right?
What we're calling a micro loan.
Micro
Yes.
loan, okay.
So usually people ask for bigger numbers from us. We're trying to get that number down a little bit.
All right, great.
We don't have it the way we once had it.
Right.
Robert?
Yes. I'm very familiar with microloans. So this microloan, which is the umbrella project, I believe, off the top of my head, this is the CRDA's to help the community with grants, and the name of the grant is the umbrella.
So it's not a grant, it would be a loan.
It'd be a loan.
We're calling this project that we're
Right.
submitting to the board for approval, it's an umbrella project. It covers more
Wonderful,
than
and I
one.
agree on, that's wonderful that y'all being able to help. Let me ask you, so this project, will it be able to help small businesses? Can we apply for this grant, or do we have to match this grant? And what you...
Again, it's not a grant.
I mean, this
It's
is
a
micro...
loan.
Okay.
So there's no matching requirement on a loan. It will be open until the money's expired for each year for small businesses to come in and ask for those dollars as a loan.
Well, that's wonderful. Is this the first time you've had the microloan?
So we get these requests for funds all the time. We're trying to put them into a bucket. Years ago, CRDA had buckets for housing, economic development, and different things. We're trying to recreate that again, where we know how much we have to spend on that and try to streamline that by doing it in one board meeting instead of several.
Well, thank you. That's wonderful.
We're trying.
Any additional public comment?
I do. Hi, my name's Rochelle Whitfield. I'm here about a small business that I'd like to open, a salad restaurant in the area and a health food store. I wanted to know if it's open to businesses that don't have a property already established, but they maybe want to do a pop-up to get started.
We'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Okay.
So make sure you guys can... Any additional public comment? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes, carried. And moving on to the Southeast Inlet redevelopment plan. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving, providing consent to blocks 71, 73, 74, 76, and 78 Southeast Inlet Redevelopment Plan in the city of Atlantic City.
Any recusals? Ms. Barrett, the floor is yours. Let's go.
Okay, so again. In February 2025, the authority received an application titled Redevelopment Plan, Block 71, 73, 74, 76, and 77, Southeast Inlet, Atlantic City, Indiana. The purpose of this redevelopment plan is to encourage the reinvestment and redevelopment of lots which are undeveloped and or contain buildings which are no longer suited to this area. The parcels located within the redevelopment plan are predominantly vacant and or underutilized. The project includes a total of approximately 136 townhouse units, which will provide either a single-family, duplex, or townhouse unit. The redevelopment plan area extends from the boardwalk to Oriental Avenue between Metropolitan Avenue to the south and New Hampshire Avenue to the north. It's within the Lighthouse 2 district and within the jurisdiction of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority and the designated tourism district. As part of the City Council's adoption of the redevelopment plan, the council shall designate a redeveloper for all or a portion of the redevelopment area. The redevelopment plan recognizes that several city-owned and CRDA-owned parcels are within the project area and are desirable from a development standpoint. Acquisitions of these parcels will be the sole responsibility of the redeveloper at their own initiative and expense. The redeveloper shall be responsible for all costs associated and the acquisition of publicly owned properties. The CRDA-owned property included in the redevelopment area would be acquired by the developer at a fair market value. The authority shall have the sole authority for the project's preliminary and final site plan approval. Any amendments that expand this type or uses or other aspects not approved by this redevelopment plan will be subject to consent by the authority. This redevelopment plan has been reviewed by the authority's planning consultants, consulting group, who provided a report dated February 12, 2025 that deemed the redevelopment plan to be consistent with the master plan. The redevelopment plan was introduced by the City Council of Atlantic City on February 19, 2025 by Ordinance 2-C and is scheduled for the second hearing on March 19, 2025.
Thank you. Board discussion?
This is once again, investor confidence high in the great city of Atlantic City. This is an expansion of the proposed K-Hive project. Originally, we're going to do 125 units, and this paves the way for an additional 136 units. So we're extremely excited to not only improve the housing stock here, but get more ratables on the tax rates. So great job, CRDA, with the system.
But this isn't tied to any developer at the current, they have to bid on this, or?
So what'll happen, Mr. Beeson, is the city will adopt tomorrow night, hopefully, and they will appoint a redeveloper. The purpose for both the city and the CRDA to participate is we have land in this area.
Right.
So once that redeveloper is named, then we can have an arm's length transaction and sell it directly to them.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have to do it by auction
Yeah,
or an RFP, which can be cumbersome.
Obviously, great, that's great.
Any other questions from board members? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes, carried. All right. Maisha time, I see Maisha back there. Atlantic City Arts Foundation, Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority authorizing the amendment of the Community Development Plan Agreement with Atlantic City Arts Foundation to extend the grant term for an additional one-year period through April 15, 2026.
Thank you. Any refusals? Maisha, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Board. The Atlantic City Arts Foundation is a New Jersey nonprofit 501c3 organization whose purpose is to promote public art and programs and foster an environment in which diverse arts and cultural programs enrich the quality of life of residents and visitors for the state of Atlantic City. Pursuant to Resolution 24-43 adopted April 16, 2024, the authority approved the fund resolution in the amount not to exceed $130,025 from the Tourism District Community Development Fund in support of the Atlantic City Arts Foundation Public Art Program, 48 Blocks AC 2024 project in Atlantic City. By later date of February 14, 2025, the Atlantic City Arts Foundation has requested a no-cost one-year extension through April 15, 2026 to support the 48 Blocks AC program and mural projects. This will not alter the current fund resolution. The current balance on this grant is $97,793.52. The reason for this extension is due to the delay of grant funding from another agency, which provides complementary funding to the proposed Atlantic City Arts Foundation operating agreement with the authority. And they also had a change of executive director at the time too, which delayed funding, not delayed funding, but delayed them spending down the money. So that's why the new executive has been there for about maybe 8 months, 9 months now. He understands the process a little bit better, so they have revised the way they're doing things, and they're just asking for an extension for 1 year.
Thank you. Board discussion? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt on the motion.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes carried. Thank you, Mason. All right, Eric's back up. All right. We're working with that. All right, the next item is the 2025 Meet AC budget. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority authorizing an amendment to the annual operating budget of EAC Incorporated for the calendar year 2025.
Any refusals? All right, Eric, the floor is yours once again.
Good afternoon, everyone, again. Summary of the request is authorization to amend the 2025 Meet AC budget to incorporate a 2025 air show and concert events utilizing Meet AC's 24 budget excess. So money that was left over from last year, unused. The fund reservation is $779,948. The source of the funds are Lux Tax. Quick little background. Many of local businesses and organizations in Atlantic City have expressed deep concern over the lack of the air show for the 2025 summer season. CRDA and Visit AC have had discussions with our constituents within the city to determine what would it take to bring this event back to Atlantic City this summer. If the 2025 budget amendment is approved, City Visit AC will then proceed with the event. Discussions have been held with potential organizers. Tentative plans have been made pending the CRDA's board approval. Attachment 2 provides an estimate of a fully contained event cost and components. Total budget for the air show is $379,948, which is $353,962.50, estimated in attachment 2, plus a contingency of $25,985.50. The economic impact of this event, because it's a 2-day event, is approximately $23 million for the 2 days. Also, Visit AC has been working closely with Oakview, which is an organization that manages both the Atlantic City Convention Center and Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall for the CRDA. The object of the talks is to establish a collaboration to bring successful entertainment events to Boardwalk Hall, not just a successful event for the building, but events that bring meaningful business to the city. Discussions ongoing with Visit AC is requesting that the remaining excess funds will be used to continue these efforts and bring numbers of events, approximately 4 to 5 concerts in Boardwalk Hall, a summer series of concerts, to bring it this summer. The attachment 4 in the economic impact report shows the value of the concerts to Boardwalk Hall and this destination. And each and every one of those events, economic impact is about $1.9 million. So the staff recommendation is that the 2025 Meet AC budget be amended to include the $779,948 for the 25 air show and the summer concerts events. The unused funds from the 2024 budget allocation will be maintained by Meet AC for the purpose as outlined. And if the funds aren't used for any reason, they will be either applied to the 26th budget or returned to the CRDA. Any questions?
Board comment, I know the mayor has a comment.
I want to urge my colleagues to support this. First, kudos to our CRDA. We sat in the same meetings, we had the same aggression and attitude that why not 2025? We didn't want to wait and let it go by to produce, some type of air show. And when it comes to the quote beach concerts, people have to understand that the entertainment industry across the country has been taking hits with concerts and festivals. People are being very careful with their money these days. However, we all know that Boardwalk Hall is a jewel. We believe that Boardwalk Hall is underutilized. We got great leadership there. I speak to Jim all the time about certain events. This opens it up not an exclusivity period, but for other promoters around the country that want to come to Atlantic City with various genres of music to go to Boardwalk Hall, and we incentivize them. There's no different as we incentivize people to develop here in Atlantic City. So again, kudos on the air show. There was a lot of, stuff going back and forth about why the air show didn't happen last year, and ultimately, the mayor get blamed for everything, but it was because of an accident that could have been a tragic accident, the reason why we didn't have the air show, because at the time, when we needed the funds, we got the money from the governor's office. So kudos to you, kudos to Visit Atlantic City, and all the other partners that are going to come in and make this a tremendous event, that we'll have an air show and some concerts, not on the beach this year, we're working on that for next year, but several concerts that our residents and visitors can enjoy. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other additional comments from board members?
I have a question. I understand that the air show is not going to be the same as it was in prior years. In
So
terms of the nature of it, like will it be 50% of the prior air shows, or 70%, or what types of events would not be included, if you know at this point?
I don't know the exact answer, but a couple things are different. We have a different air boss that we're talking to than the one we had in the past. So he's drastically different than that air boss. In fact, he's one of the most sought after air bosses in the entire country. We've had the lucky enough to have those conversations with him, and we're looking into the future with him as well. But so the every other year, the Air Force and the Navy only fly. So, and they unfortunately they both fly in the same every other year. So you can't book them every year. So although we're looking at long term, going out into multiple year relationship with this air boss. 1 year, this year it happens to be the off year. You can't get the Navy or the Air Force jets. However, there are other jet teams out there, and there's other different types of entertainers, and that's ultimately up to the air boss to be able to pull all that together for us. So I can't really define exactly what it will look like, but it will be entertaining, and there'll be other events that will be attached to it, both on the front end and the back end. Visit AC has a bunch of different plans to be able to really drive entertainment that week.
And then with the difference between the outside and inside concerts, I mean, are they more reasonable to put on inside? Are they more secure?
Yeah, you should come more often, because they're great questions. So the interesting thing is, although the beach concerts are very desired and a lot of fun, the indoor concerts are much more affordable, and we actually make money on them. And we get to pick. Jim does, because he's the expert, but he gets to pick who's coming in, and they look at the metrics behind that artist, and he has a formula that if they meet a certain metric for us, we actually make money on the event by even bringing them in. So every single one of those events coming in, we will make 100 to 150,000, even giving out a subsidy to bring them in. So that's a really incredible thing. But then the economic impact of that concert itself is also 10 times what that is, more than 10 times, almost 20 times.
Okay, great. And then my last thing is more of an observation or comment. I just think that it's really important after what happened last year that we make sure that these events come to fruition and that they actually happen.
Yeah, thank you.
And I just want to clarify something. So we all, this body, we all really, really want an air show to happen. That's why we are amending the Meet AC budget. But we're not the entity contracting with whoever's going to be putting forth the air show. It'll be Meet AC. Yes. So we're taking this action so then Meet AC can then do what they have to do to negotiate to bring the air show.
Both, and the concerts as well.
And the concerts as well. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that.
I just think that it's like negative though if they don't happen. So
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we should
definitely have our ducks in line before we do that. Eric, just to be clear too, there are no concerts planned for Boardwalk Hall at this moment, correct? Extra concerts?
Absolutely, there is. This just supplements the book of business that we have.
No, I understand that, but the extra concerts that we may.
No, there's nothing planned.
Thank you. And that's also going through Meet AC. And
and it would be
Eric,
the
you're
village
here
people.
for VAC, you guys have a contract with the Air Boss, correct?
We do. We have
Okay.
a contract now. We signed it yesterday.
Great.
You want to?
Great,
So
thank
it will
you.
happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
All right. Breaking news. All right, public comment? Will there be no public comment?
Yes, I have one.
Okay, Rob.
I'm sitting next to Vincent AC, this is my girl.
Yeah. Oh, Good. Okay, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried.
Thank you.
We are moving on to our final resolution. It is grocery store subsidy. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Authority approving a supplemental fund reservation in the not to exceed amount of $125,000 and authorization to extend the community development grant awarded to the grocery store operator at Renaissance Plaza for an additional 6-month period ending September 30th, 2025.
Thank you. Any recusals? All right, Tom, the floor is yours. Bring it home.
Good afternoon again. By application dated November 30th, 2023, Safe Philly Atlantic City LLC requested assistance by way of a grant in the amount not to exceed $250,000 as an operational subsidy to allow the extension of store lease at Renaissance Plaza through March 31st, 2025, to continue to operate while we're working alongside various private and public parties to plan a more comprehensive revitalization project at the plaza. Pursuant to Resolution 23-195, adopted December 19, 2023, the authority approved a one-year grant for an operational subsidy in an amount not to exceed $250,000 to be paid monthly in the amount of $20,833, contingent upon delivery in the grocery store execution of a one-year extension of their lease at Renaissance Plaza. The grant commenced on April 1st, 2024, and it ends at the end of the month, March 31st. The authority is working with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority and the Governor's Office to acquire the leasehold interest held by Ashkenazi Acquisition Corporation, who's the landlord, in Renaissance Plaza. The NJEDA will finance the acquisition, and NJEDA and the authority are negotiating a letter of intent to acquire the leasehold interest. To allow the authority and the NJEDA to complete the negotiations of the deal, complete a public hearing authorized under Resolution 23-195 and return to the board for project approval. The subsidy to the grocery store operator and the lease needs to be extended for an additional period. The grocery store operator and the landlord have agreed to an extension of the lease for an additional 6-month period if the authority agrees to extend the subsidy. The CRDA is continuing to work with the operator, NJEDA, and the Governor's Office to identify funding to support the revitalization of Renaissance Plaza. The CRDA's design team has worked with the grocery store operator to identify the cost to redevelop both the grocery store and Renaissance Plaza while supporting the continued operations of the grocery store to ensure the community continues to have access to health and fresh foods and produce. The current operational subsidy will expire, as I said, on March 31st. To ensure the continued operation of the grocery store, a supplemental funding in the amount of $125,000, along with the extension of the grant for a period of 6 months, is now requested. In summary, the approval of supplemental fund reservation in the amount of $125 and authorization of the Community Development Grant Award to the grocery store operator at Renaissance Plaza for an additional 6-month period ending September 30, 2025 to support the continued operations of the grocery store to negotiate of the acquisition of the leasehold interest is being requested of the board.
Thank you. Board comment? Questions? You have public comment?
I think it's a great idea.
Well, I like to move on to the meetings. All right. Any additional public comment?
I didn't come here for that, but let me tell you something. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Regarding the supermarket. All right, thank you.
All right. Favorite meetings. There being no additional public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes carry. We are now going to move on to the public comment portion of the agenda. George, I know.
All right, thank you. This might be a little bizarre. I'm sure that by the time this is over, it will be considered bizarre. But I'll give it my best shot. First of all, let me say hello to the only other people that I know in the room. Mayor, hello. Steve. From the day you moved up from Baltimore and ended up moving next door to me from Camden, in the first year of gaming. Oh my God. All right, anyway. Hello, and hello, Mr. Landgraf, which I never met, but I did speak to you on the telephone.
Yes, sir.
All right, now, my most important interest is this transportation situation, okay? I'm not interested in all the controversy that went back and forth, road diet, 2 lanes, 4 lanes, bicycles, funding, litigation, whatever. That was all in the past. Then there was a settlement of the controversy in court, and things were supposed to start in earnest. Now, I'm not blaming anybody, no way, no how, in the city of Atlantic City or with the CRDA, absolutely. Nor, I might add, am I blaming the Trump administration. Okay, so put all of that behind me. I don't want to know about any of that except for the fact that, oh, by the way, I know you too, right? My apologies. So, I have 2 questions before I say what I had planned and will continue speaking about. I have one first question, and it can be answered immediately. That money that comes back to the CRDA from the cancellation of the air show, that's $700, almost $80 million. How does that end up flowing back to the CRDA? Because I know that funds, whatever, with the casinos, the reinvestment, this, that, and whatever, I got a basic understanding of that. How does that flow?
It's not $780 million, we're talking about.
How much was it?
$7,000.
I didn't mean 780 million, my mistake. See how fast you make me know? All right, so the $780,000, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Curiosity question, that's all it is. How does that flow? Now that it
That
comes,
money has been approved by the board to stay with Visit AC, so it is not coming back to us.
oh, okay, that's fine. Okay, all right, good. I don't mean that in a negative way.
No, I just
Yeah, I just want to have a little bit of a comprehension of that. All right, now this road situation. Okay, now we have no control at this point over where we stand. Okay? So everything coming up to this point, this is what we have to deal with. Okay? I'm not going to get into any discussion whatsoever about my game plan. Okay? But I will be at council meeting tomorrow, and I will be asking for an emergent meeting of the Transportation Committee of City Council, which you have nothing to do with. I understand that. You're the I'm talking to the legislative branch. I need an emergent meeting of the Transportation Committee of City Council. That's one thing, okay? Second thing that I'm going to need, okay, in that meeting, I will be able to prove with one phone call that I believe that I can raise the funds necessary, okay, almost in a heartbeat. Now, I'm not talking about the $10 million. What I'm talking about is the amount of additional money that the city will need on top of the $10 million in order to have that company, whoever it is doing the road work, to be working 24/7 between now and between, let's say, about 2-3 weeks from now and Memorial Day to get the project done. You don't have the answer to that now. I'm not asking for that. You do? Okay, go. Give it to me.
Listen, simple. We all know that it was tied up in litigation.
Right.
There was a settlement.
Right.
Set in the judge's chamber all day. We all came out. It was an agreement. The
Right.
city's plan was to, this fall, immediately put it out to bid. It was documents being exchanged through the Department of
Wait,
Transportation.
what do you mean this fall? This fall? Last fall?
Last fall.
Gotcha. Okay.
There was documents exchanged between my administration, Federal Highway, because it's a combination of federal and state funds. It was called the RAISE grant. The project never went out to bid. Obviously, we never got started, but at the end of the day, a court order from the presiding Superior Court judge said that the road diet will go through.
Right, yeah.
And that despite what some people thought, that the middle of town, from Tennessee to the beginning of Missouri Avenue, would be Atlantic Avenue as is. That's why Atlantic Care dropped out of the lawsuit. The the controversy, so to speak, was on the other side of Missouri Avenue, from that point to Albany Avenue, where the road diet, which we got the federal funds for, said that it will be one lane similar to as it is from Maine to one side of Tennessee Avenue. The compromise was, while the Department of Transportation does a study, that the city would move forward, all interested parties said that the road diet on that side to Albany Avenue would continue as it is right now for a year to 6 months. However, at the end of the day, whether it's a local grant, state grant, federal grant, whatever,
Private money?
you are at the letter of the law in that grant. Now, I'm not playing politics, I'm just being brutally honest. It's being held up like a lot of things are in Washington. This is no Republican, Democrat.
I got it, yeah.
My goal is to get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
We're working with the Department of Transportation, legislators, and more to get that money released. Once it is done, which now at this point, it wouldn't be smart to start phase 2 because it was coming up.
Exactly.
We will go, it more than likely will be delayed a year, not meaning a calendar year, but a year from when it was supposed to start. So our hope is to get that money from the Trump administration because it was approved before he got in office and get the work done. And the disingenuous part is that people who were against said road diet are now complaining to the city of why is it not being paid? We're paving everything. We got a big paving project from Maine to Missouri on Baltic Avenue and more. You know, we're doing our part. But if monies are tied up in federal politics, what can a municipality do? But
Nothing.
depend on the State Department of Transportation and others to get it done. You know, we want to get it done for the safety and everything else, the beautification, and all the other bells and whistles that come along with it, such as finally synchronizing all the lights on Atlantic Avenue, improving the sidewalks. See, people don't talk about that stuff.
Exactly.
The beautification. And this administration is also, for the first time in the history of the city, are going to synchronize the lights on Pacific Avenue. So we should get some better traffic flow. But there's nothing, no disrespect to you, there's nothing that city council can do. There's nothing that I can do. Private money is not going to supersede this project. It's already granted, it's already awarded, it's already approved. We just got to cut the red tape and cut the BS and get this done.
Thanks for the answer. George, so George, does that answer your question? Because I got the
Absolutely,
I got the-
I got news for you, under that circumstance, it's not necessary for the city council, whatever, and so on and so forth, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does somebody see a question? Thank you.
Any additional public comment?
Yes. Hi, I'd like to say to everybody that we are so excited. We now been working on in 2024, got approved for the block grant, community block, development block grant. We was awarded $3,000 and we got our approval on December the 30th. And I'm so grateful for that. My charitable income that I put in from the fiscal year of July through the present time of now, which is the end of the fiscal year of June, I put in a charitable income of monies with the CRDA gave me in funding from Wawa and all those organizations, almost $19,000. And the $3,000 would have been a great help. I didn't ask for that, but I got awarded. That's what they decided to give us, and I was grateful for that. My thing is this, I hear the mayor over there, and he's talking about funding. You know, there's some self-certification forms, and I don't like to ruin my character on social media or anything, because I've been coming to this meeting faithfully trying to learn from individuals. And now we have a location at Stockton Community College. And now the Healing House have a cultural center. So it's the Healing House Cultural Center. We go there once a month. I got a team now, you know, and I'm grateful for that. It's not just me and my husband, you know. And I was supposed to, I had a new location at Regis. And my agreement I made, I don't know what happened to that, you know. But my main thing is this, you know, I reached out to the mayor, Marty Smalls, in personal letters that his cabinet told me to reach out to him. And I sent him a letter about, hey, we're a small business. All I want to do is be partner. How do I go about doing that? I'm about to sit down, but I want to give this young lady over there a prop because her name is Maisha. I spent 30 days after coming back from Georgia in the house trying to learn about grants and how to get this thing started because we were awarded this. I had a meeting with Mr. Jock Howard on the 31st of New Year's Eve, and he saw me and explained, if you want to ask for more, you got it. I go down there several times just to put in my self-certification forms that I just got. And I had 4 after being with the community food bank, feeding over 2,000 residents. We met our match in Atlantic City, 38,000 pounds of food. I'm back here out at the Auburn Playground this weekend asking people to sign for a self-certification forms. So I think, as far as a small business, and I'm going to tell you, Mr. Marty Smalls, I came to you several times. Being out there, we were so grateful to be out there this year because last year we took refrigerators in 101, trying to keep our businesses standing.
Is there anything that you're asking from the mayor specifically? So
yes,
yeah,
and I think it's great that the public should hear that as a business, a small business. I feel that what the mayor is saying about what his cabinet and the time limit they weren't funded. We weren't either. So what am I doing out there? What is the plan? I mean, why am I out there getting self-certification forms on a business, on something that I wasn't even, nobody came out there to visit our events. And when I called to ask Mr. Marty Smalls and his cabinet about, hey, did we get the grant yet? I was told from June up until December, I was told that we didn't get the grant yet. We'll let you know from his cabinet when we would get it.
Number one, I have no idea what you're talking about a self-certification form. I believe that you do get a grant from the city via the CDBG grant, the Community Development Block Grant. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
but you don't need to listen.
I'll talk to you in private, but I need the public.
But I'm saying, but that's when you should have started. You came up here making an accusation that's not true because I do remember signing your application for the grant. So you better check with your people.
My agency, I sent you a letter, but I'm finished talking. Thank you. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Any additional public comment?
Yes, please. My name's
Sorry, just one.
I'm sorry.
How you doing? Steve Young, and not from Baltimore, Camden. Just an advocate for most of the children and most of the housing issues in Atlantic City. I just want to say to Eric Scheffler, congratulations. It's the first meeting I've been since you've been here. And I just want to say, Mo Butler, I heard a lot about you. Look forward to meeting you soon. And Maisha, I can't say enough about her. She's been wonderful. And I've been coming to these board members since its existence. And we'll continue to do so. I just wanted to say congratulations, and anything we can continue to do, work together in the community, let us know.
Thank you.
Again, I just wanted to say I'm really excited about the microloan program. I've been wanting to start a business in Atlantic City since 2015. I started researching aquaponic farming and starting my own farm and salad business then. I even visited Ginsberg Bakery right after they closed, and then they moved in new businesses. And I've been researching and going to school, and I'm really excited that there's more funding coming in the city to make these opportunities possible. And when I open my doors, you guys are all welcome to come in.
Any additional public comment?
Can I say one thing? This has probably been one of the more productive meetings we've had since I've been on the board. Congratulations to the staff and the community. It's really good progress. So thank you.
All right, we are going to go into executive session now. there will be no action taken coming out of executive session. So Lisa, can you read the resolution? Lisa? Where did Lisa go?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority authorizing an executive session pursuant to NJSA 10:4-4-B, 7 and 8.
Thank you.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are now going into executive session.